When you think about World War II, you think of epic battles, incredible heroism, but some stories are just out there. So strange you'd think they were made up. Well, today, we're diving into one of the weirdest and 100% true stories to ever come out of the war. So I want you to picture a World War II soldier. What do you see? Probably a guy in a helmet, right? But forget that. Because what if I told you that one of the bravest, most dedicated comrades in arms wasn't even human?
And look, I'm not talking about some cute little camp mascot that everyone patted on the head. No, we are talking about an officially enlisted soldier. I mean, this guy had a rank, a service number, and he fought in one of the most brutal battles of the war. And that soldier was a Syrian brown bear.
Yep, you heard that right. This is the incredible and completely true story of Wojtek, a bear who actually became a corporal in the Polish army. And his story, well, it starts about as far from a European battlefield as you can get. Okay, so the big question is, how on earth does a bear join the army? It's a crazy story. Wojtek's journey from a tiny, orphaned cub to a full-fledged comrade all started with a chance meeting in Iran with a group of Polish soldiers who honestly had been through hell and back themselves.
So it's 1942. You've got these Polish soldiers who had just been freed from Soviet gulags. They're making their way through Iran when they stumble upon this tiny, starving bear cub whose mother had been shot by hunters. They felt for him, so they traded a few cans of beef and a knife to a local boy to take him in. They named Wojtek, which means happy warrior, and basically raised him. They fed him condensed milk out of an old vodka bottle of all things. Right from the start, he wasn't just a pet, he was one of the guys.
And Wojtek didn't just live with the soldiers. He basically became one of them. I mean, the habits this bear picked up were just wild. He learned to drink beer straight from the bottle. He'd even take a puff of a cigarette before, get this, eating it. He loved to wrestle with the men, and he even figured out how to work the camp showers. And that little skill, well, that's about to lead to a very, very unexpected situation.
So, picture this. It's late one night. The camp is quiet. An enemy spy manages to sneak past the guards. He's trying to gather intel, find out about their weapons, their positions. He's moving like a shadow, creeping toward the supply tents.
He slips into the shower tent, probably thinking it's the perfect hiding spot. And he comes face to face with a 500-pound bear just casually having a late-night shower. Can you even imagine the shock, the sheer terror of that moment?
Yeah, the spy gave up immediately. No fight, no struggle. I mean, what's the alternative? How do you even begin to explain to your superiors that you were captured by a bear taking a shower? It's just, you can't. So for his accidental guard duty, Wojtek got his favorite reward, a couple of beers and all the shower time he wanted.
All right, so Wojtek is a hero. He's a core part of the unit. But now, the Polish Second Corps is getting ready to deploy to Italy, right into the thick of the fighting. And they run into this huge problem, all because of their big, furry, beer-loving buddy.
See, the problem was the British transport ships. They had a very, very strict rule. Absolutely no animals on board. And for the Polish soldiers, this was just devastating. Leaving Wojtek behind? No way. That wasn't even an option. He wasn't a pet. He was family. So they had to get clever.
And their solution was just genius. Pure bureaucratic genius. The rule says you can't bring an animal on board. Okay, fine. Then we won't bring an animal. We'll bring a soldier. They decided to officially enlist Wojtek into the Polish army.
And they did it by the book. They drafted him, gave him the official rank of private, issued him a serial number, and even a paybook. You can just picture the scene, right? The British officer at the top of the gangplank, reading the list of names. He calls out, "Private Wojtek," and the Polish soldiers are just like, "Right here, sir." And on walks the bear. Problem solved.
But here's the thing. Wojtek wasn't just a soldier on paper to get around a rule. He was about to prove his worth in one of the most hellish, grinding battles of the entire war, the Battle of Monte Cassino.
The fighting there was just brutal. The Allies were desperately trying to push the Germans out of this ancient monastery perched on top of a mountain. The terrain was insane, so steep and rocky that no trucks or jeeps could get up there. That meant every single thing, especially heavy ammunition, had to be hauled up the mountain by hand, by soldiers, while they were being shot at.
The men were just getting worn down, totally exhausted. Morale was hitting rock bottom. And these crates they were carrying, each one weighed 100 pounds. It was just this crushing, dangerous work. And that's when their secret weapon decided to get involved. Wojtek saw his friends, his family struggling with these heavy boxes, and he just walked up to the truck, stood on his hind legs, and held out his front paws as if to say, "Give me one." Nobody told him to do this, he wasn't trained for it. He just saw his friends needed help, and he started carrying those 100-pound crates of artillery shells up the mountain, and he never ever dropped a single one. The effect on morale was just immediate. It was incredible. His actions there became the stuff of legend. And as a tribute, a way to honor his incredible bravery and contribution, the 22nd Artillery Supply Company officially changed its emblem. From that day on, their official insignia was a bear carrying an artillery shell, a permanent tribute to Private Wojtek.
But every war ends. And after the fighting stopped, the world was a different place. For Wojtek and the brave men of the Polish Second Corps, there was no victory parade waiting for them back home. The end of the war was really the start of a much sadder final chapter. You see, their home, Poland, was now under Soviet control. For most of these soldiers, going back was impossible. So the unit was disbanded in Scotland, and with no one left to care for him, Wojtek was given to the Edinburgh Zoo. After a life of freedom, of comradeship, of being a soldier, he was now an exhibit, living in a cage. But his brothers in arms, they never ever forgot him. His old Polish comrades would come to the zoo to visit. Sometimes they'd even jump over the fence to have one last friendly wrestle with their old friend. They'd toss him cigarettes, just like the old days, and he'd still happily munch on them. People said that even years later, whenever he heard anyone nearby speaking Polish, his ears would perk up and he'd get excited. He passed away in 1963, a hero right to the very end. So Wojtek's story is so much more than just a weird bit of World War II trivia, right? It's this amazing story about loyalty, about friendship, and about how you can find your family in the absolute most unlikely places. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? What really makes a hero? Is it just what they do in the heat of battle, or is it something more, like the loyalty and the love they inspire that lasts a lifetime?